We are live. We're live on YouTube and we are live on Instagram. So for those of you who are on Instagram, hi. And for those of you who are here on YouTube, hello. So we are going to talk about, and you guys can ask questions. I'm going to be taking your questions here on YouTube as well as on Instagram. And let me see. I don't know if I am on Instagram, to be honest. Okay, it's the first time I do it on Instagram. I am so very sorry. Done. Am I there? Yes. Okay, cool. There's a lot of people on Instagram. Thank you so much for showing up, guys, because it's my first time. So, and I see there's people on YouTube as well. Welcome to both groups. I wanted to just go over my experience running the Brooklyn half. I can show you the medal up close as well. So this is the medal. It's metal. It's a very interesting, it's like lacquer, I guess it's called. You guys can tell me if I'm pronouncing this correctly and if this is the right word. But it's very, it's like textured. So this is matte and this is shiny. I don't know if on camera you can see that, but this portion is shiny and this is completely matte and it's texturized. So all these little letters there, you know, you can feel that there's, I don't know, it's like a really interesting texture to it. It's one of my favorite metals, guys. And then here, the nice thing about this is that you can, I'm going to try and not with this one, but I'm going to try and write my name there and my finish time. And I think this saves time and money on the engraving because potentially you don't have to engrave this. Whereas other metals, you would have to engrave them like this one. It's completely metal. So I think with this, it's going to be easy to just write your name and the time right there. So yes, so that's the medal. Hi, Lynn. This is the t-shirt, which is just like, I love this t-shirt, guys. It's interesting because on Instagram you see it. And then this is the back. And believe it or not, we were on the subway coming back to Lynn's house. And a woman asked if she could take a picture of the t-shirt, which I was feeling like, okay, you know, you can Google this. But she wanted to take a picture and she showed me the picture on her phone. She just take a picture of the actual logo, front and the back. So she didn't take my face or anything like that. But so I wanted to go over a little bit about the logistics of the race for those who are interested. So getting to Brooklyn, unless you live there in Brooklyn, it's a hike. I think from pretty much anywhere else, even Manhattan. What we did is, well, I left my house super early because I live on the other side of the Delaware River, so Pennsylvania. I drove to my friend's house in Princeton. I picked her up and then we drove to Lynn's house. And then from Lynn's house, we took an Uber to Brooklyn. And just the Uber, I don't know, Lynn, if you remember, was it like 40 minutes? I think it was 40 minutes on the Uber. So yeah, it's a hike, but it was a lot more reliable, obviously, than taking the subway because it was, so we met at Lynn's house at 6 in the morning and we didn't make it. I wasn't actually keeping track of the time because we were talking. But I do think it was probably 6:40, 6:45 by the time we got. Yes, so Lynn is saying, yeah, about 40 minutes. So in 40 minutes, we went from her house to Brooklyn. And then once you're there, there's an area where cars can drop off runners, as well as Uber drivers can drop people off and taxis. And then from there, we just crossed this one big avenue and we were right at the beginning. So you drop your bag first, your check bag if you have one. You don't have to, but the tracks are right there. And the number on your bib, I don't have my bib here, but the number on your bib tells you exactly which track you have to drop your bag with. And they provide a bag. So there's a bag when you do your bib pickup and your t-shirt pickup, you get a bag that's completely transparent. It just says Brooklyn half marathon, and then you put your stuff there. It's not big, so I wouldn't bring, you know, a tremendous, and it's also not going to support a ton of weight. So it's one of those typical bags that that many other races provide. So we put there a change of clothes, we drop our bags, and then right after that you have security. And security to me was very thorough. It's more thorough than security, definitely, I think, at Disney Marathon. And Lynn, you were with me at the Disney Marathon, so I don't know if you agree with this or not. But I thought this one was more detailed. I don't remember at the Disney Marathon having to get rid of my camera. I think I walked with the camera and with my phone and everything on me through the arch. Whereas here you had to put them in the little basket. They would go through a different place, and then you would have to go without any medals through the arch, the security arch. So I thought this was more thorough. Still, there's nothing like New York City Marathon, because in New York City Marathon, they even use a wand. Once you get off of the buses to go to the start line, they use the band just to make sure that you don't have any metal on you. So if you have questions, guys, you can start asking. It is about the same. You go through metal detectors at both. Yeah, for Disney as well. But do you remember having to put your stuff on a basket? I don't remember that at Disney, but I mean, like, my memory is not perfect. So I have something on my face. And then after that, you're just there. Like, the corrals start right there, so you don't have to walk too far unless you're in one of the beginning corrals. So they had two waves, wave 1 and wave 2. We were on wave 2. I was corral C. I had to walk quite a bit. They have plenty of toilets. So porta potties are a plenty. We didn't have to wait too long to use the porta potties. I used them twice. Once when we crossed security, and then again right before I hopped on my corral. Now my corral had started moving already, because they start moving. So we were supposed to start at 7:45, but 7:45 is the start time for corral A. So they were already moving by the time I got to my corral. Hi, Tonio. How are you? ¿Cómo estás? So then I was trying to find the 2-hour pacers, which I never found because things were moving so quickly. I never found them. So I was right behind the 2:05, and my plan was to try and stay as close as I could to the 2:05 pacers. And then once things, because there's so many people, you're kind of shoulder to shoulder. I thought, well, once we start like separating from each other and there's more space, I will try and pass the 2:05 pacers, and then I'll get to the 2-hour pacers, which I could have done. I've done other times in other races. Like, I would start with the 2:20 pacers and reach the 2:15 pacers. What happened this time is that I was already sweating at the start line. So I started being really, thank you. Gracias, Tonio. I started being really hot before we started. So as soon as I started running, I thought, I'm just going to stay behind the 2:05 and just stay close to the 2:05. And if I can push the last 3 miles, I'll push the last 3 miles. But the way things were going and the way that I was feeling very hot. So, and I was wearing minimal amount of clothing. So I was wearing just the sports bra and then shorts. That was it. And it was already hot. So the temperature got up to, I mean, for people who finished later than I did, like at 11 or 11:30, those people, I'm sure they were like really hot, because the temperatures were skyrocketed really quickly. So there's water stations really very often. I think they have 8 or 9 water stations for the 13 miles. There's only a little stretch where they don't have water, which is, I think, 1.5 miles right at the end of Prospect Park. So this race has 2 distinct areas. The first area, I'm going to wave the people who are on Instagram. So there's 2 distinct areas. The first half, the first 6 miles, you are on Prospect Park and you do a loop around Prospect Park. So that area is shaded because there's tons of trees, number one. But the downside of that is that it's hilly. So there's ups and downs. There's one before mile 4, and there's another big hill, the biggest one in the whole race, right before mile 6. And then after that, you're done. But you're done with the hills, and everything is like a net downhill after that. However, at that point, the sun started like hitting us, and it was really, I would not say unbearable, but it was very hot. I mean, it was uncomfortable. It was not an easy race to run after Prospect Park, because by the time you want to start, getting a little faster and just, ideally you're holding the first part of the race, and then you start going a little faster after that first half. My intention was to do negative splits, which didn't happen. So after mile 6, 6.2, I tried to catch up again with the 2-hour pacers, and I was close at one point. Like, I tried to speed up, but then at mile 9.5, it got all of a sudden really, really, really sunny, which before that it was kind of foggy. So the sun was not fully out, even though it was hot. But then once the heat, the sun started heating us, it was just craziness. They had sprinklers, and some of the volunteers were hosing people. So if you were close to your right or to your left, they would have people hosing, watering people down. So I took advantage of that. Every single time I saw someone splashing runners, I ran closer and I got splashed. And that helped, because, your body temperature starts like increasing and you're very uncomfortable. So with the water, you cool down at least for the next, 200 yards, you feel better. And then you start sweating again and things get rough. But certainly that helped. They had medical tents, and at one point I made a conscious effort to try and see what they had on the medical tents, because they're kind of wide open, and they had plenty of ice. They had, those rags that you can wet and they're cold and you can keep on you. So they had plenty of that at the medical tents. So if I had wanted to stop and get ice and just like put it on my head, I could have done that easily, because again, medical tents were aplenty. I noticed at least 3, and then the ones at the end, at the finish line. But yeah, it's one of those races that when I started feeling really hot, I thought people are going to get in trouble, because, well, number one, because if you don't hold back at the beginning, by the time you go through the hills, you're tired and you might have pushed too much. So if you continue pushing, you're going to get in trouble. Your heart rate is going to skyrocket. If you're not well hydrated, things could happen. So, and then what really was rough was after mile 11. And I talked to other runners, and they mentioned the same. After mile 11, really, the heat was just like unbelievable. At mile 11, I actually felt, when you're on the beach and you're laying on the sand and you're just laying there, and then, I don't know if this has happened to you, it has happened to me. And then you stand, maybe you sit on your rag and your towel, and you're like, ooh, that thing from the heat. That happened to me at mile 11. I was running and I felt like that, like a rush. And then like here, especially here on my left, like pain right here. So there were spectators to the right, with these guns that are water guns, the big kind, and they were like refilling them with water. They had like a big bucket of water, like a massive bucket of water, and they were refilling them. So I saw them to the right, and I just approached them, and I actually stopped. Like I stood in front of them and I did like this, and they just sprayed me. They had more fun than I did, because I could see their faces. They were like going to town. Just sprayed me, got me all wet, like head to toe. And then I continued running. I mean, it was a good, I don't know, maybe I lost like 30 seconds, but it was time well invested, because my temperature dropped, and then I could continue running. And I made it because of those people that actually were using the water guns on runners. I don't think I would have made it till the end, to be honest, guys. I was very, very hot, and I was feeling like I was not sweating. I was feeling even a little bit like uncomfortable with the temperature. So, but then after that, I got sweat. You go under at like a bridge. There's like a big overpass, and then you go in there, turn to the right. I think that's Ocean Boulevard. If someone ran this and knows their streets, I think that's Ocean Boulevard. Then you turn there to the right, and then you see Coney Island. And you know it's Coney Island? Well, first of all, they have an announcer to the right that's saying, "Welcome, you're almost there." And they're super loud with music, and they're saying, "You're almost in Coney Island." So you know, number one, you know that. But if you're listen to your music and you can't hear this guy that's to the right, you see the roller coasters, you see the cyclone, and you see the Ferris wheel. So it's very, I mean, you see it there. It's a big avenue. There's no cars, and it's just like the sun is. So that last stretch was rough. And then right there at the end, they route you to the left, and then you run next to the cyclone. And then there's like a little funnel there that I was really surprised because things had thinned out at that point for me. So I didn't have anybody too close. But I think if you're like running with a lot of other runners, you would have to walk it because it's a very narrow path. It's short, but it's a very narrow path, and you go there, and then right there, right after you pass the cyclone, you turn to the right and you're on the boardwalk. And then right there, it surprised me how quickly I had made it to the end. Like at that point, I was like, oh, wow, I'm done. Like, I don't want to sound, because again, at mile 11, it was rough. Those last 2 miles, 2.1 miles, they were really rough. But before mile 11, even though I wasn't going as fast as I had anticipated, I was doing well. Like I felt strong, I felt fine. It's just that I was sweating so much and I was so hot, I could not keep up drinking water. And then we'll talk a little bit about my strategy around water drinking and all that. So then when you turn there on the boardwalk, you see the finish line right there. It's super, super loud. The announcers are awesome. The spectators are awesome. It's super crowded. And it's so nice because you see the spectators on the typical hot dog stands and stores to the right on the boardwalk. And then to the left, you see the beach. And it's super cool because at that point you get a little breeze from the beach, and there's people there laying down on the beach, and there were people even in the water. So I noticed that it was such a hot day. And then you cross the finish line. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about what's after the finish and all that as well. So now talking about my hydration, I hydrated really well the days leading into the race because I kept checking the weather, and we knew it was going to be really hot. So I hydrated a lot. The day before the half, that Friday, I probably drank 1.5 gallons of water. So I woke up on Saturday super bloated, like even my face. Oh, you didn't worry about pairing. Yeah, I didn't either. It was very hot. So I woke up Saturday very, very bloated, like my eyes were like I was bloated. And I knew that I had drunk a lot of water because of that, because I felt like heavy with water. And that's precisely what I wanted. I wanted to be able to have reserves. This was my first in-person Brooklyn half. It was my first one too. Congratulations, David. So yeah, and then in every stop, in every water station, I took water. The first 3 or 4 miles, I think I only took 1 cup of water. After that, right before we left Prospect Park, I was grabbing 2. So I was actually, how to have the cups together. I was actually with my fingers pinching like this and then grabbing 2, doing like this V with the cups, and then drinking one and drinking the other one. And if I had anything left, pouring it over my face, my head, everywhere I could. So I was taking, after mile 3.5, 4, I was taking 2 cups of water in every water station. And then I took 4 goos. I took 1 goo right before starting the race, and then every 30 minutes. And then after that, the last table, I had Gatorade. I just had Gatorade. So I grabbed 2 Gatorades and I drank them just because I thought my stomach, because I was so hot, I thought my stomach was not going to be able to digest the goose well. And I think that was good, actually, that I drank my carbs instead of munching on them. So what did you think of the race, David? Did you have a good race? And then once you get to the finish line, so Chuck Schumer was there, Senator Chuck Schumer, which to me was a surprise. I know he goes to races because when I ran in 2020 the Fred Lebow half marathon in Central Park, he was at the finish line as well, but he left before I crossed the finish line. I just heard from other people that he had been there at the finish. So I know he goes, he likes seeing runners. I don't know if he's a runner or not, but he was there. He high-fived me. He said, "Give it up for Brooklyn." So it was kind of a cool thing to go through. So you had a lot of fun. That's awesome. I'm glad, David. And then after you cross the finish, they have water immediately. And then they had these big containers, and I mean big, huge containers. And they had ice. It was not even water. They had ice, and then they had these rugs, like little towels. It was not towels, just cotton, pure cotton, like rugs in these big buckets of ice. And then they were giving them to the runners. So much so people were grabbing like 2 or 3 at a time that I actually had to like sneak through. I mean, there were so many people congregated around this first bucket that I actually had to like go through and just grab one of the rugs. And then I put it here around my neck. And then after that, I was perfectly fine. Before that, I was still a little bit like hot. So I checked my phone. I could not access the New York Road Runners app, which is the one that gives the times. I could not check it for like an hour and a half. Good into like having finished. I could not check my time, but my brother could. So he told me that I did 2 hours 05:52. So that was my official time. The park looked nice. The fog was crazy. It was. The crowds literally pushed me to be my best in that race. Yeah, the crowds are awesome in New York City. But I mean, Brooklyn, when I ran New York City, the best, to me, well, obviously you're at the beginning, but the best section of New York City is Brooklyn. Hands down. I mean, people talk about when you're on First Avenue in Manhattan. I mean, obviously that's nice because there's a lot of people there, but the best section in New York City Marathon is Brooklyn. So I knew that people just like runners in Brooklyn, which is really cool. There were a lot of people with like posters, and yeah, it was very cool. Lots of like running clubs supporting other runners too. Like they had their T-shirts and they were supporting other runners who were doing the race. So yeah, the app didn't work for me. The only thing that was working is I was following my friends. So I would know when they crossed the finish line just to be able to meet with them again. And that was working. Like I was getting the push notifications from the app. So I knew where they were when they were at the 15K, 20K. I knew all that. And when they crossed the finish. But I could not check my time at all. So it's funny that it was notifying me of other people, but not of mine. Your Strava was working. I didn't connect Strava. I used my watch. So, but my watch, it's funny because my watch stopped at one point because my final time was 2:04 on Garmin, and I did 13. I didn't do 13.1 miles. I did 12.8, I think. So I think it stopped at some point, or 12.9. So I think because of the high buildings, it must have stopped working at some point. I mean, you can never trust your phone. You have to, or your watch. You have to trust the chip that they provide. So, and then once you cross the finish line, it's super cool. They route you and they keep moving you. Like they keep saying, move forward, move forward. You have space to take pictures though. So if you want to take pictures, you can do that, but you can't just congregate there. You can't just wait for your friends there. You have to keep moving. And then they route you, you get your medal, and then you go through these steps, which if you have seen my video, you will see the steps. There's these steps, go down, they funnel you through there, they give you your food. And then after that, it sort of opens up and you can go to the left to pick up your bag. And then to the right, you can go to the stadium. And the stadium has a big sign that says after party, and it really is like a party. They have a DJ playing music super loud. There's plenty of space if you want to lay down on the floor. They have this turf, or artificial turf, that was pretty comfortable because I sat there for a while. They have beer, they have hot dogs, they have fries, they have burgers. You can buy anything really. I mean, you can't buy a gourmet food, but you can buy a hamburger if you want to, and French fries and all that. They have them at the stadium. The stadium is all open, so it's very, very nice. The one thing that threw me off when we were on Ocean Parkway, we all ran on the left side, and then the water took us all the way to the right side. I didn't even notice that, to be honest with you. I just wanted to. At that point, I was so like, I need to get this done. Yeah. I didn't notice that. Did you notice that funnel though? Like that little thing that goes up into the boardwalk? Like that felt tight to me. Like all the runners are on this bigger, you turn from Ocean Parkway to the left and then they funnel you up. I guess there's no other way to do it really, because that's the only space to take you up to the boardwalk. So I don't think they can do anything else. But yeah, I mean, it's just really cool to run on a boardwalk that's so iconic as Coney Island. But yeah, I would recommend anyone to go to the finish area, to the after party, to the stadium, because it's super cool. And if you want to sit on an actual chair, you can sit on an actual chair. I didn't, because I knew that I had to go back to see my friends, so I kind of sat next to the door, to the gate, so that I could go out again. But yeah, they have photo opportunities as well. They have these banners with like the logo of the race behind. I had a picture taken there, and they were good pictures. This is the first race that I've done that's not Run Disney where I've gotten good pictures, which is great news. Because usually, I don't know, I am either not looking, but here the photographers, you knew where they were. Like at least I saw them in advance so that I could, pose a little bit, not look like I always look. So yeah, this is a great race. I am still recovering. I was a little bit sore. My quads and my hamstrings were a little sore yesterday. I walked a little bit. I walked my dog. I walked my dog again this morning. I'm probably going to go back to running again. I don't know, probably tomorrow, guys. So in terms of next races, so I have 2 races on the calendar. One is in October, and that's the Atlantic City Marathon. I'm going to run the Atlantic City Marathon with my friend Ginger. I don't know if Ginger is around. I don't think she could log in. But yeah, I'm going to run the Atlantic City Marathon with my friend Ginger. We're going to run it together. So we're going to push each other's pace, and we're going to try and get as close as we can to the 4-hour mark. We'll see. But that's our plan right now, not having started training. We haven't decided on a training plan yet, but that's our kind of goal. Just get us as close as we can to the 4 hours. And then my brother's coming in November, and he's going to run Philadelphia Marathon with me, or I'm going to run it with him, I should say. So we haven't decided really what pace we're going to do for that one, but Atlantic City and Philadelphia, they are separated by 4 weeks. So I have time to wind down a little bit and then pick it up again and just keep the buns hot in the oven for a little bit. But yeah, I'm going to run the first one for time, Atlantic City, and then Philadelphia, I'll just accompany my brother. My brother he's only run 1 marathon. He did it in a little bit under 5 hours. So I think he's probably going to want to go for like a 4:45, something like that. So yeah, I see a lot of people, and you haven't asked any questions, guys, or if you have any comments about the Brooklyn half. This is such a great, I recommend anybody who's watching this to run Brooklyn. It's iconic. The course itself, it's not really anything to call home about, to be honest. Hi, Matt. You're here. Have you run Brooklyn? I don't know if you've run the Brooklyn half, Matt. So the race, the course itself is, again, nothing to call home about. There's no like, I mean, yes, you go through Grand Army Plaza, which is iconic as well. And then, but that's at the very beginning. And then you see Coney Island. That's it. Everything in between, what really sustains you through the race is the amount of spectators. There's a lot of spectators. Even, I mean, there were people pretty much all along, except for spots here and there. There were people everywhere. Some people, there were like 2 or 3 in. So, which, I mean, that's really what helps you carry you through. How many beers did you drink after the race? So one of the things I really wanted to do, which I was thinking about it during the race even, I was like, when I get there, I'm going to get a cold beer. So I only drank one though, but it was big. They didn't have any other size. It's like the weirdest. I mean, they didn't have. So I saw people walking around with Modelo, which would have been my preference. But then when I was waiting on, in the line to buy, they only had Michelob Ultra. So they had that one, and then they had some kind of hard seltzer, which I'm not into. I wanted a beer. So again, not my preference, but it took me where I wanted to go. Oh, so you registered for the Brooklyn Marathon. Brooklyn Half? Yes, Brooklyn Half, I guess. Because the Brooklyn Marathon, I think there's only been 2 of them. There's another organization in New York that puts another Brooklyn Half and a Brooklyn Marathon. That's it. NYC runs. Good organization too, not as big as the New York Road Runners, but it's a solid. The full. I actually was thinking about signing up for the full this year. It was in April. But then I didn't. I just lost my mojo there. Yes, NYC runs. Yeah, that's the other one. They actually had a lot of people this year too running. So David is saying, I had 2 Michelob, one at the stadium and one at Ruby's on the boardwalk. We didn't go to Ruby's. I mean, by the time my friends finished, and then we just hung out, went to get our bags, went to the bathroom, we got changed and all that. It was, the boardwalk was so much. We actually went back to Manhattan, and we had brunch in Manhattan. Not really, because by the time we got to where we wanted to go, it was 2 p.m. So, but yeah. Very cool, you guys. So yeah, what races are you running? Like, for the people who are still on the channel and on Instagram, which races are you running? Let me know. Again, I have 2 marathons, one in October and one in November. Hopefully I get closer to my Boston qualifier time, which is 3 hours 50. And you're all very quiet, guys. I see a lot of people. Oh, you have no plans? Well, yeah, I understand that, but it's, the summer is really tough here as well. I mean, yesterday we reached 98, so it was very steamy yesterday here. But yeah, I'm not running anything till October. David, he's doing the virtual Global Running Day 5K. Oh, you're gonna do it in Central Park. The thing is, for me to get to Central Park for 5K, it's a hike. I really wouldn't do it unless, the year that I was doing the 9+1 so that I could get my bib for New York City for the marathon, I ran anything that I could, but just one, sporadic 5K, it's too far. You're going to run Boston next year. So if I qualify, you can pace me. No, I don't want to hold you back. You're like so much faster than I am. 1 or 2 marathons toward the end of the year. Very nice. So that's what I'm going to do. 1 in October, 1 in November. Are you going to run? Have you ever run Philadelphia, Matt? In person, I'm going to do the NYRR Team Championships as part of Team for Kids. Very nice. Very, very nice. It's a great organization. Matt, we'll definitely go for that shakeout a day or two before the race in Boston. I'm gonna I'm gonna take you up on your offer. You haven't run Philly. I like Philly a lot. I mean, I like racing in Philly. I think Philadelphia has awesome races, and it's a great city to run. Super convenient. There's always easy parking. Even with the amount of, because Philadelphia Marathon has a ton of people. I think it's 20,000 runners. It's a very large marathon, and even then, it's organized really well. So I really like Philadelphia Marathon. You PR'd in New York City last year. I PR'd too. That's my best, New York City. So I have aggressive goals though. So I hope I can do better than what I did in New York City. New York City it's a tough course, New York City, because it's so hilly. I don't if I had to run New York City again, which I hope I can run it again at some point in my life. But if I had to run it again, I would run it for fun, not to PR. It's a great course, but it's tough. It's hard. There's a lot of bridges, lots of ups and downs, and it's just a killer. Your legs are shot by mile 17, 18. It's hard. Well done, PRing at New York City, not a fast course. I know. I was crazy because I was going for a much faster time, and if I had to run New York City, I would do it with a completely different mindset. I think it's important to know when, like, I wanted to PR at Brooklyn, but once I saw the temperature, I was like, there goes my PR. I'm probably not going to be able to do it. I'm still going to, push myself, but it's just, I mean, the last mile, my heart rate went to 192. So I was really getting close to, making my potato explode. I pushed hard. So I'm super, super satisfied with how I did, even though I didn't get under the 2 hours that I wanted. Just training for the Disney Marathon in January. Super excited. Aiming for a half in September here in Texas. We will see. Good for you. I'll see you at Disney. If I can raise, I am fundraising money for a bib. So if I can reach my goal, I'll be running Disney Marathon. Otherwise, I don't have a bib. I have a bib through a charity. So speaking of which, I'm going to start fundraising. And Thursday, I have my first virtual event for those interested. I will be doing one burpee for every $1 that gets donated. So I'll be doing one burpee for every $1, and I will go live on YouTube and on Instagram, and I will perform my burpees. So if someone donates $50, you want to see me killing myself, guys, you're welcome to. This is your chance. So yeah, I would be honored to actually do like 200 burpees or something on Thursday. But yeah, I'm going to be going live. I am aiming to go every hour on the hour. I don't know if I'm going to have enough dollars to do that. So hopefully you guys are reading this. I'm going to put here the Venmo account. That's the Venmo. I'm raising funds for Team Muscle Makers. I can put their website in the description box so you guys can go check them out. But they are, right now, they raise funds for multiple initiatives. But right now they're raising funds for a clinic at Rated Children's Hospital in San Diego, in California. So, and it's just, they raise funds for research and to help kids that have this really weird genetic disease, which is a muscle dystrophy. So they can't walk, they can't really function like a normal human being. I shouldn't phrase it that way. They just can't, do what we do. They either need a wheelchair, they need to be assisted with everything. So I think it's a great cause. It helps children, and they are born with it. This is not something that you develop over time. You're born with this disease. So I think it's a great cause too. It impacts directly people who need it. So, But yeah, will you use the Hal Higdon training plan again? That's a really good question. So yes, I definitely would use it again. I thought it was right. And part of it also is not having a coach when you're just picking your own training plan, knowing which one to pick. So I picked the advanced 2 for the half marathon, and it was right. My, like I was right at the exact fitness that I needed to be to survive the training plan. When I trained for New York City Marathon, I chose Hansen's, and it just didn't agree with me. Maybe it's not a good plan for me. So will I do Hal Higdon again? Yes, I'm actually thinking about doing it for Atlantic City for the marathon because it's a good plan. I really really like it. So I'll do a review in the coming days, so you guys can see a more detailed explanation of why I like it. There's a big con of the Hal Higdon plan of using the app though. If you do the paper plan, so to speak, I think it's different. But with the app, there's a big con, but everything else are pros. I really liked it, so I would use it again. Matt is leaving because work is calling. Thank you for showing, Matt. Thank you for stopping by. So yes, I would use it again, definitely. Okay, guys, so just remember to tune in on Thursday to see me doing burpees. And again, if you want to contribute to Team Muscle Makers, that's the Venmo. Disney still hasn't. So the way that it works with the charity is Disney sends the bibs for these specific races to the charities, and then the charities can give you the bib. Well, you have to pay for the bib too, but you get the bib, and then you have to fundraise a certain amount. So in exchange for the marathon bib, I have to raise $475. But Disney still hasn't sent them like the links to fundraise the money. So I'm gonna have to start fundraising because I'm getting a little antsy. I'm gonna start to fundraising through my Venmo account, and then I'll just put it up I'll just send them the money to the link, and you will see everything. It's gonna be super, super, super transparent. I'm not gonna hide anything back. There is a mailing list that if you want to sign up for it, you're gonna be receiving specific details about how things are going, where I'm at, if I'm meeting my goal and everything. So if you want to follow that, just get on the mailing list. I promise I'm not going to be sending tons of emails. It's probably just going to be like one every week or every 10 days, just updating you on where I am with my challenges. And my intention is to do one challenge every month. So this first challenge is going to be a burpee marathon. So I'm going to be doing one burpee for every $1 donated, and then I will keep you updated with what else is going to be coming up. But there's going to be a lot of challenges, and it's going to be fun. We're going to have fun with it, guys. So yeah, thanks to the people that showed up on Instagram. It was my first Instagram live, so thank you so very much. And to those of you who showed up for the YouTube live stream, I love you guys. Thank you for being here. You guys are awesome. There's always, when you do a live stream, it's always, obviously as a creator, you want people to show up, but you're always like, will people show up? So, thank you so much, guys, for just being there for me and supporting me. This is awesome. It's awesome to do a live stream and have people want to listen. So I have to go back to work, unfortunately, or fortunately. It's good to have a job. But yeah, I need to log off for now. These will go up on my channel. So for those of you who want to rewatch, it will be there. I'm going to pop the Venmo again. Again, I'm raising funds for Team Muscle Makers. I'll put it here too. If you Google them, they have a website. So you can go find more information about them. It's an excellent, excellent organization. And I am running Disney Marathon through them, through Team Muscle Makers. But first I have to raise $475. So if I don't fundraise that money, I don't get my spot. So, and then pay for the bib, obviously. The bib is always separate. So yeah, Thank you so much, guys, for being here. Thanks. I love you. Have a great day.